To see the panic that some of these incoming students were basically coming in with, like literally entering their week 0 of college and already having the panic that UCSD can induce in students, it scared me like a lot because I knew that I was one of them. Going into my first year at UCSD, 2018, so I immediately felt like an imposter or had feelings related to imposter syndrome pretty much week 1. I knew that culturally I was in a completely different setting. I was raised in the Coachella Valley being like predominantly Hispanic, and that was the culture that I knew really well, and that was the culture that I kind of related to more, even though it wasn't my own ethnic background, but that's who I grew up with. And then going to UCSD and being predominantly Asian and white, I had to like kind of maneuver that culture shock essentially. I've always been a good student, but as soon as I came to UCSD, I felt as if I wasn't good enough. And I started comparing myself to all these kids who came in with tons of college credit, that took tons of APs and tons of, came in almost in their sophomore year or second year of college. And I just couldn't relate to that. I also couldn't relate to this like mentality that a lot of students at UCSD have, where school is so important that you allow it to break you essentially. I think school and education is a number 1 priority for me, but I also know now like when to take a step back, relax, knowing that there are other important things in life that should also get prioritized, like kind of balancing it out. And I felt like the people that I was meeting didn't relate to that. It was like school or nothing. By the time we hit October of 2018, so my first year at school, I was severely depressed and super apathetic. So I didn't really care like what happened. I just knew that, or I just felt as if I didn't belong at UCSD. I felt as if I had made a wrong decision, and I felt as if like I'm never gonna find my space here, like this isn't where I belong. Like it got so bad to a certain point that my apathy like kicked in a lot, and I, blew off some classes. I just felt as if I didn't belong here, so I'm not gonna try, which I quickly snapped out of because my family does not have the money for me to not be trying. So I quickly snapped out of that, but I snapped out of it after like my parents realized what was going on. I talked to them about it. I also reached out to CAPS, which wasn't like a good experience for me personally, but I did like the first step of like reaching out for mental health care really kind of set me at ease. Like I was like, okay, I'm trying again. I'm reaching out. I'm trying to get help. I'm trying to find assistance wherever I can. And then, like I said, by the time winter came around, I was finding spaces that I related to. So it was like starting to get better. I'm privileged enough to have gotten out of those feelings or have like worked out most of those feelings of being an imposter. But I really want to acknowledge like all the Black, Indigenous, and people of color students at UCSD right now, regardless of college, like working on these feelings, because it is real. I saw white people walking around campus. I saw people that looked like me on campus. I can't even imagine what it's like for Black, Indigenous, people of color walking around and not even like feeling like they have a space there because they can't even like see people, like see a majority of people that they relate to. When you can't, it's very, very hard for you to find like joy in things. Like in a time in your senior year, you're supposed to be having fun with friends and like really enjoying yourself, like really enjoying these, last memories of high school. My fall semester was very the opposite of that. I couldn't even like keep my head up in certain classes. Like I just was down and out for a while. So I figured out my own signs, like my personal bodily signals or my personal mental signals that were telling me like, okay, this is probably depression and you need to reach out for help. So I reached out for help then too. I like tried counseling and again, got my parents involved. I also come from a space where mental health is like very prominent in our family. My dad suffers from mental illness. So does most of my paternal family, so most of my dad's family. So he was unable to get mental health care at a young age because he didn't have that space with like that open communication with his parents. And I think because of what he went through, he's always made it very apparent to me and my sibling that you need to talk about these things. You need to get help as soon as you can, and we're here for that conversation when it happens. So yeah, I feel like I'm very lucky in the sense that I didn't have a problem going to my parents and being like, hey, this is going on and it's bad. But I do think that what I experienced my senior year really helped with getting over what I perceived as failure, because I perceived quitting the IB program as me failing, very much so. I felt like I didn't get through it, so I failed. When I had to really like change that narrative and like rewrite it in my head, basically, you didn't fail because you quit. You did something that you needed to do, and that's like one of the strongest things that you could have done at the time. Looking back now, I have no regrets about that at all. The winter of my first year, I started working at the Gameroom, which is in UCSD Price Center, and I was basically like a team member who just checked people in with equipment. And I really didn't find people that I could relate to until then. And I think that's because finding people who also had to work to provide for themselves in school, like those are my people. Like we are all struggling, and I just felt like I finally found people I could relate to, because we weren't affluent. We didn't come from places like La Jolla or similar. We didn't come from these like highly achieving, only focused on academic spaces. And so I finally found this space within some of my coworkers, which was really, really nice. And then that kind of gave me the confidence to then like find other spaces where I found people to relate to me. Like, and I know it sounds like super cliche to like, oh, you'll be better if you get involved, but that was like my personal experience. So after being an orientation leader, like I could walk around Marshall and like start up a conversation with one of my OLs or some of the RAs that I had met through the OL program, because we all worked together for a little bit. And not only did it like push my social circle, it pushed me into spaces like I got to meet our provost like on multiple occasions through that program. I got to meet our like dean of student affairs through multiple occasions. Like we got to have lunches with them. We got to like incorporate their feedback into our program. So I got to meet like all these like big wigs of Marshall College, and I felt important. I felt like heard. I felt like, okay, like I'm doing something right. I'm doing something well if I'm in a space with all these people that care about incoming freshmen, or all these admin that care about us. Walking into Acacia for my like mental health advocate internship interview, I was like, holy crap. This is like beyond, it was like actually unimaginable for me. And then the process of meeting this like 100% diverse population that works there, and that like all work towards like creating better mental health care and like reducing the stigma of mental health conversations and things like that. Just like meeting all of these amazing, awesome, cool people, and then getting the internship there, I was like, holy shit. Like I was like, I made it here. Like I did this. And it's like created this sense of accomplishment that really, like, even today, getting that internship and then not even 3 months later getting like a part-time like employment with them, getting a part-time job with them, it just solidified to me that I do belong here. Like I do belong at UCSD. I do belong in the spaces that I've chosen. I made this happen. Not only do I belong here, but I did the work to not necessarily prove that I belong here, but I guess prove to myself that I belong here. I did the work. Like my personality and my like background and my passions got me that internship. They got me the position, the job position. They got me into the OL program. They even got me into UCSD, which I really did not think was gonna happen. All of those things that got me into those spaces and got me that sense of confidence in who I am and belonging, like that sense of belonging, I think it now like overrides most of that feeling of imposter syndrome my first year. I feel like I've definitely come to a point now, almost out of UCSD, definitely come to a point where I made it happen. I'm like made myself belong here, basically. It goes back to the day that I signed off on my papers to quit the IB program. Like, honestly, it was such, like, it seems like anything in high school can't be that monumentous, but it really was. Like, it started off my journey of being able to say no to things, being able to, like, calm my self expectations and be like, hey, we know you have big aspirations, but let's be realistic also. Like, let's not put too much on yourself. Let's not force yourself to get into positions where you are situationally depressed or you are feeling all of this anxiety. Like, your mental health is important, just as important as your physical health, just as important as your academic success. So really, like, the day that I signed over the papers to my IB director saying, like, I'm no longer doing this program, yeah, it started then. And I feel like the rest of my senior year and that summer after, I felt lighter. I felt like you said no to something and it didn't wreck your life irrevocably. I think that your personal success has to evolve with you. It has to evolve through your growing up. It has to evolve through your life changes. So like now, like I said, like success for me is getting out of bed before 12. And I think that also success for me in the long term right now is graduating UCSD with whatever GPA I achieve, whatever like academic standing I achieve. Like, I will be very happy in that success, like just achieving that bachelor's degree. Whereas if you would ask me that question my junior year of high school, I would have been like, oh, I have to go to one of the top colleges in the US and I have to get like a 4.0 GPA. And like, I had all these preconceived notions about what my life was supposed to be like. And when my senior year hit, those expectations started getting shot down, or like they just started deviating, like reality started kicking in. So yeah, I think that our idea of success really has to change while we change, or else your mental health is going to be affected 100%, because every time you think that you're failing when in fact your level of success is just changing, if you have that mindset that you're failing, you know, you're just going to bring on like self-sabotage. You're going to bring on these feelings of, again, not belonging. You're going to bring on like these feelings of being a failure when in reality you're not. And it's just going to cause so much stress, probably depression, probably feelings of loneliness, probably feelings of sadness. So I think it's very important to change your idea of success as life happens, basically.
Thanks for watching. Hit the like button and comment with your own thoughts and experiences. If you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe to our channel at Real Life Videos. Let's rehumanize.